Carmel, Indiana was a tranquil oasis of manicured lawns and picket fences, its placid monotony reminiscent of an impressionist painting. Amid this suburban serenity, we find our protagonist, Eli. His gentle eyes, reflecting years of turbulent experiences, peered from behind spectacles at the thrumming heart of this town, the Carmel Mall. Eli was a quiet man, his hushed demeanor often mistaken for meekness, yet underneath coursed a river of strength, born of personal battles with his own psyche. In his office at the Carmel Times, tucked away amidst stacks of old newspaper issues and worn-out books, he was hunched over a desk scattered with articles, photographs, and notes. A single photograph caught his attention. It depicted the foreign workers from the mall, their eyes echoed in eerie familiarity. "Looking into another small-town scandal, are we, Eli?" Morgan, his friend and trusted colleague, said, leaning against the doorframe with an amused smile. His voice was a mixture of jest and concern, a tone developed over years of shared stories and struggles. "No scandal here, Morgan," Eli replied, his eyes never leaving the photo. This one feels like a deep-rooted malignance." A hefty sigh escaped Morgan as he moved closer, his eyes now tracing the image Eli held. "You're looking at tired mall employees, not specters, Eli." A pause hung in the air before Eli broke the silence. "Their eyes, Morgan," he murmured. "Those aren't merely the eyes of fatigue. It's fear. It's desperation." Their dialogue filled the room, stirring the dust of old stories and forgotten investigations. Eli, a seasoned journalist, had developed an uncanny ability to trace fear. It was a skill honed by years of battling his own fears. Fears that swung from manic highs of overwhelming paranoia to lows of profound despair. Morgan's eyebrows furrowed, his skepticism evident. "Eli," he began, his tone softer now, "I understand your concern, but we can't go chasing shadows. The strain—" Eli shook his head, a melancholic smile playing on his lips. "It's not about me, Morgan," he replied. "It's about justice. And if there's even a sliver of truth in this, then we owe it to them to pull them out of the shadows." The room settled into silence once again, its occupants absorbed in their respective thoughts. Eli's suspicion of a potential slave trade was more than just a news story to him. It was a fight against a system that exploited the vulnerable, much like the demons of his past that preyed on his periods of weakness. As night seeped into Carmel, he found himself engrossed in the investigation, committed to unraveling the secrets that were bound in the seemingly ordinary threads of the town's life. The quiet town, the bustling mall, the workers with fear-stricken eyes, each element revealed a chapter in this silent horror story. As he delved deeper, the specters of suburbia began to reveal themselves, setting the stage for a journey that would uncover more than just human misdoings. Eli's investigation wound itself tighter around him as the days passed, his life morphing into an eerie reflection of the twisted narrative he was uncovering. His sleep was fractured, invaded by strange dreams that pulsed with images of a brooding entity, the silent overseer, a name murmured in hushed whispers among the foreign workers. His mornings were spent at the mall, interviewing workers amidst the cacophony of shoppers, laughter, and music. The dialogue between him and the workers began to reveal disturbing, cryptic connections. Their fear-laced stories were punctuated by the appearance of intricate tattoos, symbols that hinted at an unseen power looming over their lives. One afternoon, under the harsh, fluorescent lights of the mall food court, he met Anna, a worker from the mall. Her gaze was distant. The weariness in her eyes echoed the silent scream of Carmel's specters. Her tattoo, a cryptic pattern of intertwining circles and lines, was similar to the ones he had seen on other workers. She spoke in hushed whispers, her native language tripping over her English. "We have the same dream, all of us, of silent watcher, the silent overseer." Engrossed in her words, he felt a shiver run down his spine. "The silent overseer?" he questioned, a sense of dread unfurling within him. Anna nodded, her gaze darting around nervously. "Yes, we feel it always. Watching, owning." She swallowed hard, her words tapering off into silence. The chilling echo of her statement hung in the air, reverberating in the mundanity of the mall's atmosphere. On sharing his findings with Morgan, Eli found a wall of dismissal. "You're threading together nightmares, Eli," he scoffed, his skepticism unyielding. "These are superstitious people. Dreams and symbols are their cultural fabric." Eli's doubts, however, were not so easily quelled. He could see the eerie parallels between the worker's nightmares and his own, a connection that seemed to straddle the boundary between the tangible and the ethereal. "It's more than that, Morgan," he argued, his patience wearing thin. "It's not superstition when it's collective, when it's consistent." Morgan's brows knitted together, a frown settling on his face. "You're letting this case get to you. You're seeing patterns where there are none." Yet, Eli's instincts told him otherwise. His nights were filled with restless tossing and turning, the dreams seeping into his waking hours. His sanity wavered, dangling precariously on the edge of reality and nightmare. The shadows of Carmel were now casting long, unsettling patterns on the shores of his reality. And though he was enveloped in the comfort of familiar surroundings, the echoes of an otherworldly entity had begun to distort his perception. His friend's skepticism, the inexplicable tattoos, and the shared dreams, all were threads in a disquieting tapestry that was beginning to blur the boundaries of his world. He was standing on the precipice, teetering on the edge of a dark abyss, ready to plunge into the cryptic grasp of the silent overseer. His world was unraveling into a dark, convoluted reality that fed on his deepest fears. He found himself spiraling into the unknown, his sanity crumbling like ancient parchment under the weight of his investigation. His days began to meld into an eerie ballet of dreadful dreams and haunting realities, his bipolar demons dancing in unison with the narrative he was piecing together. One evening, as he dug deeper into the well of the town's secret, he unearthed a connection that chilled him to his core. In the heart of his trusted friend's office, nestled amidst his documents, he found an eerily familiar pattern, a symbol etched onto a piece of paper, mirroring the tattoos of the foreign workers. The sight twisted his gut into a gnarled knot of realization. "Betrayal has a taste far worse than death," he whispered to himself, his voice trembling with an unfamiliar blend of anger and despair. It was Morgan. He was entwined within the grotesque framework of the scandal that Eli had been unraveling. Feeling as though he was walking through a thick fog of betrayal, he confronted Morgan. His friend's response was a disquieting silence, his smile cold, eyes devoid of any remorse. "It's a necessary evil, Eli," he murmured, his tone laced with a horrifying conviction. Eli felt a shiver crawl up his spine. "Necessary? How could you, Morgan? How could you be part of this?" Morgan's gaze never left his. The silent overseer. "It's real, Eli. It's power, it's knowledge. It's beyond anything you can comprehend. And in return for certain sacrifices, it gives us control." Eli's heart pounded in his chest as he listened to Morgan's horrifying revelation. His friend, his ally, was deep within the grotesque belly of this cosmic conspiracy. His breath hitched as he stumbled back, the room spinning around him. He could hear Morgan's words, a haunting echo in his mind. The silent overseer. It gives us control. Days and nights lost their distinction as he found himself entrapped in the grasping tendrils of the cosmic nightmare. The silent overseer was no longer a shadowy figure in his dreams. It had become a tangible presence that permeated the air around him, an insidious whisper in the silent moments, a lurking figure in the corner of his eyes. The horrifying realization of Morgan's involvement, the silent overseer's omnipresence, the weight of his own personal battles, all bore down upon him. His once familiar world now morphed into a canvas of dread and betrayal. His grasp on reality grew tenuous as he faced the horrifying truths of his friend's deception and the constant presence of a cosmic entity in the fabric of his existence. Once a spectator peering into the abyss, he was now enveloped within its haunting grasp. The reality of Carmel had become a warped reflection of the cosmic horror he was living. The path to escape seemed elusive as he spiraled deeper into this dark maze, pushing him towards an edge from where return seemed impossible. His journey into the unknown had begun, As Eli woke to another day in his twisted reality, the lines between the cosmic and the earthly had been irrevocably blurred. He was enveloped in a shroud of betrayal, fear, and the omnipresent specter of the silent overseer. His world had spiraled into an echo chamber of horror, each reverberation a testament to the grotesque truth he had unveiled. In the claustrophobic confines of Carmel, he devised a plan. It was daring, desperate, perhaps even foolish, but he saw it as his only hope. He resolved to expose the slave traders in their perverse alliance with the cosmic entity. Morgan's voice echoed in his mind as he navigated his escape. The silent overseer, it gives us control. The phrase became a chilling mantra, a symbol of his friend's betrayal and the horrifying omnipresence of the entity. Every step he took towards escape was mirrored by the escalating intensity of his personal turmoil. His bipolar disorder, once a private battle, was now tangled with his pursuit for justice in his struggle against the silent overseer. The highs and lows of his mental state danced a macabre waltz with the rhythms of his daunting escape. Each step towards freedom also a step deeper into the cosmic horror that bound him. Against all odds, he found his way out of Carmel, leaving behind the specters that haunted its streets and its mall. But as he stood on the outskirts of the town, looking at the seemingly tranquil facade of Carmel, he knew the true price of his freedom. "I escaped," he whispered into the wind, his voice a mixture of triumph and despair. But at what cost? He was no longer the man who had first walked into the Carmel Mall, chasing leads of corruption. His identity had been irrevocably woven into the cosmic narrative he had uncovered. His escape was physical, but mentally, he remained ensnared in the cosmic horror's web. He carried this spectral weight as he ventured into his new life. Carmel was now a part of his past, but the echoes of the silent overseer lingered. The experience had etched itself into the core of his being, his every thought and action tinged with the knowledge of the entity's existence. His past struggles with bipolar disorder now seemed insignificant against the backdrop of the cosmic horror he'd encountered. His escape was an illusion, a cruel jest in the grand cosmic narrative. Elias had escaped Carmel. He had fled from the slave traders, but he would forever remain captive in the grasp of the silent overseer. He was free, yet bound. His story was a testament to the horrifying realization that sometimes escape was simply a passage into another form of captivity, a transition from the palpable chains of mortal deeds to the ethereal shackles of cosmic horrors. Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed our content, show your support with a like and subscribe, and stay notified by hitting the bell icon. Expect more cosmic horror from Eldritch Tales Factory, and feel free to explore our other stories. See you in the next video.